American workers currently have the right to vote in private when choosing whether or not to unionize. But if the president and the unions have their way, that private ballot could change. A new bill in Congress would take away the secret ballot. Well, this morning we found an example of some auto workers in Indiana with a cautionary tale on this issue. And Brian Wilson found it live in D.C. No, he's not. He's live in Chicago this morning. Brian, how did this card check thing work out in this plant that you found in Indiana?
It really very interesting. We were told that when this card check process began, it sort of divided this very cozy shop. They were all friends. Let me tell you about the Employee Free Choice Act, as it's called. Very controversial piece of legislation. Would allow unions to be formed without a secret ballot, sometimes called the card check law. Let me take you out to Albion, Indiana, a small auto parts plant there. There are about 50 employees. The UAW, the United Auto Workers, came in and tried to establish a union at this small plant that you see there. And the people inside say that the organizers were sort of rude. They were sort of crude. They hassled. They harassed. They actually showed up at people's houses at night to talk to them. And one woman says that she was threatened and had to be escorted to her car at the end of the day.
Wow. How did they get permission to try the card check in the first place, Brian?
Well, this is an unusual situation because in this particular case, the company was going through some financial problems. The union agreed to come in and help them restructure some of their debt. In exchange, they said, we want the right to come into your plant and try to unionize it using the card check method. And it wasn't until that happened that this was ever even contemplated at the plant. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. The employees, after the union came in, they got a number of cards, they got enough, they got the union. Some employees said, we didn't really want a union, and so they demanded through the National Labor Relations Board that there be a secret ballot. When they held the secret ballot, well, then all of a sudden the union was decertified, and it's sort of an interesting story. Interestingly enough, if this were to become the law of the land, this card check bill, then the employees would not have had the right to that second secret ballot. But I want you to hear the sound from this woman who said she was threatened. Take a listen.
Those of us who spoke against them were being threatened, and we actually had to be escorted out to our cars.
Threatened by whom?
Other employees who were for the union.
And her larger point here is this. If there had not been card check, if there had been a secret ballot, nobody in the plant would have known how she voted, and therefore she would have not been in a position of being threatened by her fellow employees.
Interesting report there. Usually we see on Capitol Hill, and late yesterday we got word that maybe it's in danger of even passing in the Senate, so we'll follow that on that front. Thank you, Brian. Brian Wilson, live in Chicago this morning.